Jerry Mason, your Kickin Lawyer, here today. Today we're going to talk about courtroom etiquette. I'm going to try to make this quick because I got to get to court. But basically, I've seen a lot of interesting things in court. A lot of people showing up dressed and acting ways that are not going to be conducive to a good outcome while you're in court. So this is kind of court etiquette 101 if you have to go to any kind of court, whether it's criminal, civil, or otherwise. So the first thing is make sure you know what time to be there and then get there early. When you get there, be prepared to be there a while. In our local general sessions court, it's set at 9 a.m. They'll call you. If you're not there, you could get a warrant for not showing up. Additionally, if you do get there on time, sometimes we can remedy it sooner. But just because you get there early, be prepared to stay a while, because it's very common that in the local courts anyway, that you might get there at 9 and they may not, especially if you have a lawyer that's dealing with your matter, or even if you don't have a lawyer. Sometimes if you have to get one appointed to you on criminal stuff, it's going to take a while before that's going to happen. So be patient. So I would say number one, arrive early, and then be patient while you're there. The second thing is make sure you know where you're going to. So, check the location. Some jurisdictions have several courts. They have old courthouses and then justice centers and things like that. It might be, you need to make sure that you know where you're going. So know what time you're supposed to be there, and then check with your lawyer and make sure you know where you're supposed to be, which courtroom, which building, what city. I mean, you'd be surprised. There's multiple jurisdictions. It's easy to get confused. And then I would say number three is make sure you dress appropriately, okay? Think of it like going to church, and even then that's loose nowadays. You want to be professional. Now, I'm not saying you've got to dress in a three-piece suit or look like a lawyer when you go there, but you want to make a good impression. So depending on the court you're in, I would say at the minimum have like a collared shirt, or ladies have a nice blouse. You need to dress appropriately. Remember that you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, so I would recommend that you dress appropriately. For example, you need to know your audience. If you're in the South, you need to consider that, wear things that would be appropriate for the area that you're in. Nothing that has marijuana on it, so that seems like it would go without saying, but it has any type of, even if you're in a jurisdiction where it's legal, where marijuana is legal, I would recommend avoiding something that gives a connotation that, maybe you dabble in things that aren't necessarily accepted by the mainstream society nowadays. So try to continue that. No weed clothes. Now this one may be a little too late for some of you, but I highly recommend you don't have facial tattoos. So if I'm defending somebody for something, I don't know, assault or something like that, and they've got like FU written across their forehead, which has happened, or teardrops on the side of the face, it might be a little harder to convince the jury that this person, doesn't have the fortitude to commit such a crime. So avoid facial tattoos. And I would say in general, cover tattoos up if you can. The public has different perspectives of that. The judges have different perspectives of that. And instead of like throwing the dice and risking it, I would say try to avoid that. Don't wear your grill. If you've got some really pretty diamond up, gold studded grills, I would say don't wear those to court. If you can, remove them. Again, it's just you don't know the judge's perspective, and they do make judgments on you when they see you. Not to mention if it's a jury trial, the jury's going to make a judgment on you too. So I would consider that. And then ultimately on how you dress, just make sure you try to blend in, be professional. If you go to Memphis to the courts there, they have what we call the pit. It's like their general sessions court down in the bottom of 201 Poplar. And basically if you're in a suit, they assume you're a lawyer. If you are not, then they assume you're a defendant. So, you might want to wear a suit. It might help you out even there. And we had for a little while a worker that had sort of a different outfit she would wear, different hair and whatnot, and she happened to go to court one time, and a judge thought that she was like a defendant or an inmate. She was supposed to be an employee for our firm, so we had to start a policy to kind of curtail that. You just want to always be professional if you can at all times. So, show up on time, know where you're going, and then dress appropriately. And then probably most important, okay, and this is a pet peeve of mine, be respectful. If the judge is talking, shut up. Lawyer or defendant or whatever, if you're in the courtroom and the judge is speaking, you need to be respectful of his authority, because he does have authority. Nearly any court you're in, the judge has certain arrest powers and a minimum fine power. So, if you don't want to lose your shirt or your freedom, just shut up. And if you have a lawyer, for sure be quiet. A lot of times you're going to hear things maybe from the other side that you don't agree with and you want to voice your opinion. Well, that's why you have a lawyer. The lawyer is your mouthpiece. We filter what needs to go through, what's relevant. If you have a lawyer, just shut up and let the lawyer talk when it's time to talk. You don't want to talk over anyone, but most especially don't talk over the judge. Try to speak clearly if you speak to the judge. I've had a lot of people address the judge, and the judge can't understand what they're saying. They speak some form of English perhaps, but try to speak clearly when you're talking to the judge, halfway decent English. I know I got a nice southern twang, but aside from that, I can even try to speak clearly at times. Try to not fidget, don't move around and look nervous. Try to control your nervous energy. And make sure, regardless of what he says, that you thank the judge, that you were given the opportunity, or if it's a bad outcome, just be quiet. If you don't know what to say, just shut up. That's the ultimate thing. And then I would say the final rule, and this one may maybe even more important than that, be able to pass a drug test. Yes. So criminal or civil court, if you're there for custody or you're there for a criminal offense, be prepared to pass a drug test. A lot of times, as a condition of getting the charge dismissed, the DA may ask, hey, if they could pass a drug test today, we'll drop it. Well, I've had so many clients that couldn't pass a drug test, that day. If you're going to court, you're going to court, usually, weeks in advance. How about we lay off the drugs, the alcohol, any of that, at least for the few weeks leading up to go to court. I would say if you don't hear anything else, hear that. So make sure you arrive on time. Make sure you know where you're going. Make sure you dress appropriately, look professional. Make sure you're respectful. And then make sure you can pass a drug or alcohol screen. That would probably be most important. Do me a favor. If you like the video, please comment or share it. Please subscribe to the page. And feel free to comment if you have any questions or specific requests on things you want me to talk about. Again, I am a licensed Tennessee attorney. This video really covers all jurisdictions. I would say that's pretty safe to say no matter where you are, you could follow some of these etiquette rules and it'll help you in the courtroom. And so until next time, good luck in whatever you got, and hit me up if you need me.